Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to take a look at doing parallel actions using Power Automate. Now, a lot of times when you're building these automations, you don't necessarily need to do everything in series where everything just kind of flows through. You can break those up into parallel tracks and your flow is going to finish a little bit faster. That's what this video is going to focus on today. And I'm going to include a couple things from other videos and I'll mention those in there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining how to set those up. Go ahead and check out the other videos in those areas to see the full explanation of those. And again, just like in those videos, I'm going to focus specifically on how you actually set this up and not necessarily how do you do a lot of other things with it. I'm going to keep things very simple and to the point, just to make it a little bit easier to follow along without adding a whole bunch of other things that aren't relevant for setting up parallel actions. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. Now to set this up, we're going to use this for our trigger. So we're going to basically, whenever a new item is created, we're going to trigger this flow. So that's just kind of the setup is we're going to use this SharePoint list to kind of trigger everything. Now let's go take a look at Power Automate. Now in Power Automate, all we're going to do is automate a cloud flow. And then again, I typically skip this. Now when I do parallel actions, I typically like using the Classic Designer. So let's go ahead and try switching this back to the Classic. And we'll sync without saving. And for this, again, we're going to use a SharePoint trigger here. So we're going to do when an item is created, and then we're going to find our SharePoint list. And that'll just be this portal here. And then our requested projects here is going to be the actual list. And then we'll hit a new step. Now, all we want to do is send an email. So something very easy. So we're just going to look for our email options here, and we'll do send an email v2. And then for the two, we're going to go ahead and add dynamic content in here. And we're just going to send it to the requester. So we're going to just send a quick notification of receipt. And we need to have a body. So we'll just say test email. And that's good enough for this. And then we'll just go ahead and rename this for the requester email. Something simple. Again, not trying to make this overly complicated. Now, we want to add a parallel action, and we're going to send a notification to the team that might manage this SharePoint list or this process. So all we're going to do is click right here, and then we're going to add a parallel action right here. So then we'll see that we've got these two tracks that we can follow down. So it's super simple, not overly complicated. Now, all we have to do is, again, find our email. So we're going to do send an email v2. And then we'll just go ahead and change the name of this and we'll say manager or something like that. Doesn't really matter. Now in this case, I'm going to send it to myself. Both of these are going to go to myself since this is the requester and I'm going to be the requester and the two. So we're just going to put my email in here. Now for the subject, we're just going to say notification of new request. And we'll go ahead and just copy that and put that in our body. Something simple. So then we can tell the difference between these two. So we notification of receipt of request maybe, and notification of new request. And because the emails are going to be the same, we want to make sure that we can tell them apart when we get them. Now here's where there's a trick to this. Because you've got a parallel action, you might want to add in there a failure processing for each of these so you know exactly which track failed. So all we have to do that is we're going to add an action. Again, I'm not going to show you how to build this. There's a video where I explain how to set this up, and I'll go ahead and put the link on the screen now for checking out how to do scopes, and then I'll also do another one for how to do failure processing. And all we're trying to do is basically compose our failed run link here, and we'll go ahead and call this our requester email, something like that. And then we're going to compose a failed run link. And all this is going to do is say that click this link to find the failure. And it's going to email myself as the manager for this process, not the requester. So this is the manager for this process that gets this email. Again, because we've got this parallel track, it can make it a little bit easier if we handle our failures as part of these tracks. And what we have to do is configure our run after. So we'll go ahead and set that. We want this to run whenever this fails. So that's all we need to do here. And let's go ahead and copy this. And then we're going to go ahead and put this over here. And then we got failure processing 2. And this will be our failed run length. Doesn't really matter. So now what we could do is we could put in here which branch broke. So example, this is the requester. So we could put the requester branch broke. This might be the notification to the team broke, whatever you want to put in here. This is beneficial when you do that, is it tells you exactly where you have to kind of focus when you get in here. And then we want to do our configure run after here. And again, we want to do it for when it's failed. All right, so that might be all that you need to do, but what if you want to put everything together? Well, in the classic, it's really easy to do that. All you have to do is come down here. So you can add steps here, or you can add steps here, and that's basically outside of this. So let's go ahead and add a new step, and then we'll see that it brings it together here. You got to make sure that if you're looking to either pull information in from one track or the other, that you are actually finishing this process, not just continuing in here. When you're working inside of the new version, this is handled a little bit differently. That's why I said it's a little bit easier when you're working with parallel actions just to work inside of this interface. For whatever reason, when you're working in the new designer, it is really kind of easy to do, but this is much easier in my opinion, is you just go to the bottom here and then it brings it together. So I don't have to really do anything. But when you do it the other way, you have to basically add an item here on either one of these, and then you identify that everything else is kind of feeding into it. It works, but in my opinion, it's a little bit easier to use this approach here. All right, so what do we want to do? Let's just do a compose. We don't need to make this overly complicated again. And we'll just say something like 6 parallel actions. Doesn't really matter. Again, it's just going to be something that we're going to put on the compose there. And what we want to do is go to our configure our run after here. And we want to go ahead and make sure that we select all of these. Now, what you're going to notice is that it didn't apply to both. So we go ahead and select this. And if it doesn't let you select it, all you have to do is hit the done here and then bring it back into the configure run after and then select this one. We want to make sure that both are selected. But as you can see, it doesn't have to be all. Maybe for one side, you want to have only when it's skipped, or so you can configure this to work however you want. But that's how essentially you got to make sure you track the changes for both of these when you're setting this up. So let's go ahead and hit the done here. And that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll say this is a demo parallel. And let's go ahead and hit save. All right, it's saved, no problems. Now let's go ahead and back out of here so we can go and actually look at our flows when they run. All right, so this will be ready for us so we can actually see this. It's turned on. We can see that it's ready to go. Now let's go actually create an item and test this out. All right, I went ahead and filled this in. So let's go ahead and save this. And there we go. So it created it. Now let's go take a look at our flows again. Now let's go ahead and refresh this. All right, now we can see it's running. Let's go ahead and refresh this again. And it's taking a little bit of time to run. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right, it skipped here. And we're just waiting for this one. And then it'll complete this as we saw. All right, it looks like everything ran as expected here. We can see that both of the emails have been sent, and we've got our compose. And if we look at our compose here, we can see that it basically is just a standard compose action here, nothing super complicated. Let's go check out the emails now. And as we can see in our email, we've got two different ones: notification of a new request and notification receipt of request. Again, both went to my mailbox, but we can see that both of those emails did work. Now, it really is just that simple to do a parallel action. Now, what are some things to think about? Because it's a parallel action, you can't have anything from one side be in the other side. So if you need something from this side for this side to work, it's not going to work. You got to have completely separate information. This side's got to rely only on everything that's on this side or above it. And same thing with this side over here. You have to keep everything separate. Some of the things that you might run into problems with, if you've got existing flows and you're looking at this like, wow, it'd be great to be able to do parallel actions. Sometimes when you drag different things into parallel flows, it doesn't always work. If you run into problems, what you might want to try doing is deleting that step, recreating it, and see if it causes your problem. If you run into problems where things down here aren't running, definitely take a look at your configure run after to make sure that it's running when it's supposed to after all the different parallel actions you've got here. It's very likely that if this is not running, that you forgot to include a specific outcome from one of these parallel actions when you do this. The most likely things are, as I mentioned, that you're trying to bring information from this where you need this over here and you don't have it. A lot of times it won't even let you save if that's the problem. But if you're running into a specific problem of this not running, it's because you don't have that configure run after. So as we can see here, it's got the visual indicator of exactly what's required for both of those run afters here. So it makes it very easy to kind of see if you've got it set up correctly, if you're looking at it, at least in the new designer. There are some things I really like about the new designer, But doing this in the new designer is a little bit different. And actually, I'll show you that. Let's go ahead and edit this here. And let's go ahead and delete this. So we'll go ahead and remove this. So as you can see, I can't add something down here. I have to add it here. And I don't particularly like having to do that because I tend to think it's a little bit more complicated. And then we have to come over here and we have to do our scopes. So we'll add that in there. And then we have to add another one. So we'll add this one in there. And then we've got both. And then we kind of configure this. So it isn't like it's really super difficult. And if there's a situation here where maybe you've got an action that runs after only 2 or 3, or maybe not all of your different actions, maybe this is easier for that situation. Most of the time in my flows, I need to do all of my parallel actions, and then I need to do whatever the next step is. But there is a use case for when maybe you have 2 or 3 and maybe you have different parallel branches that need to continue being parallel as you go through this. This might be a little bit easier to work with in that setup. But again, both possible. I tend to think it's just a little bit easier to have the add a new action here outside of these 2 branches. But that's my preference for why I use the classic versus the new designer for parallel actions. There are some things that I like doing in the new designer, and there are some things I like working in the classic for. For debugging, I really like this new designer. But I don't want to get too far off of this. That's how you set up parallel actions. Now, don't forget, if you like this kind of content, hit the like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Let me know in the comments, are there any specific Power Automate things you're trying to do that are difficult or you'd like me to cover as part of this channel? There are some things I'm planning on doing in the future. Some of it's going to be Dataverse, and then some of it's going to be just good to know information. It'll work with both SharePoint and Dataverse. But so for next week, I think what the next video is going to be is about how you change ownership of the records that you're creating. So you can actually change the owner of those records. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then as kind of a working with that, I'm going to show you how to transfer that or change that into a child flow and demonstrate how child flows work. Child flows are great. I don't think there's as many use cases for those as people seem to think there are, but they do have their place. And I do like using child flows specifically for record ownership and those kinds of actions, because it tends to impact multiple tables in a Dataverse solution. So I tend to think they work really for that use case. So that'll be kind of the next couple videos. But yeah, let me know in the comments if there's any specific things that you want me to cover as part of Power Automate content. That's it for this week. Until next time.